Hello, all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games, and it's particle time. So, making games Bullet Hell Edition has been coming on fairly nicely. I finally finished level design. That took a little longer than I really wanted it to, but it got done, so whatever. And today I'm going to start adding a little bit of what some like to call game feel by way of particle effects, by adding particle effects to the game. So when something takes a hit, there's going to be a little burst of particles. Right now, the game is functional, but when you, for example, shoot a bullet at something, the bullet just sort of gets absorbed and nothing really happens. There isn't any feedback that happens. So there's a couple ways that I could add feedback to make the player really sort of intuitively feel that something happens. But particle effects are a big one. Particle effects are a big visual one, and particle effects are fun to work on, honestly. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to start by clearing the default types of the fire particle emitter. This, by the way, is the little program that I have made called Particle Lab. And hopefully in probably 3 or 4 months, this is actually going to be like obsolete and there wouldn't really be a point to using it. Where is it? Here we go. So anyway, GameMaker, for those of you who do not know, are going to be adding a built-in particle editor to the IDE at some point in the future. Hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, I have made my own particle editor tool. I hope you like it. You can use it if you want. I will have a link in the description. So, let's see. We can start by just adding a generic particle type. I'm going to have that stream from the source like this. Can I actually like set the region to be up like in the middle of the screen a little bit? Be a little bit easier to see where it's coming from. All right. So first, when something takes a hit, I'm going to work on that first. When something takes a hit, I'm going to want it to just emit a little burst of particles. And for now, we can have that no gravity, turn the gravity off. We can have you fade out on the alpha channel as the particles expire. We can do some things such as give you a min speed of like something small, min speed of 1, max speed of 0. And the direction that you're emitted from can be, for now, just like all directions. We can just have you fly out from a center point like this. Did I not enable alpha blending? I guess I didn't. We'll have you, when something takes a hit, just emit like a little puff of like smoke-like particles like that. The scale, I feel like this is rather big. So we've got some like, what would you call that? Like an interference pattern of sorts happening here. But if I make the scale a quarter on all sides, again though, the emitter region should probably be a small region because we're gonna like burst from a point, I think, when we take a hit here. Can I increase your speed a little? Like 1 to 1.5. Decrease your lifespan. Again, 1 to 1.5 or so. Let's go even smaller than that. Alright, so when a foe takes a hit, I'm going to have them burst off just a little bit of particles like this. And it's going to probably happen in about the direction that the bullet hits, and we're going to like confer the bullet's momentum onto the foe. It's going to come in from head-on GameMaker degrees. It's going to be moving in the direction of 90. And so I think I'm going to want the direction that these things are emitted from to be something like this. We're going to have, say, a min direction of maybe 45 degrees, max direction of 135, and that's gonna be that. Do I want there to be any like friction, which would be, I believe, like negative 0.01. 0.05 or so on the speed increase as a friction value. Maybe like that. Alright, I'll give this a name. I'll give this like a faux hit. Maybe I should give that like an underscore because I will be using this to generate GML code. And I'll have something similar for the player hit, I think. The only difference for the player is that I might have it actually like the particle emissions like burst in all degrees, like in 360 degrees, instead of coming in from a direction like this, because the player can take damage from any direction. I might also, oh, by the way, in terms of color, I'm not going to be leaning too heavily on color, I don't think. But if we give, can I get like red to white on an axis? All right, I guess not. What would be like a pinkish color? FF, like CC would be a pinkish color. I guess I could have you fade out to the same color, like not change color over the duration of the particle's lifespan, but only change alpha. Would that be weird? Would that be like a weird color? I don't know. Could start you out at partial alpha also. I guess we could do that. I'll do it like that. Anyway, be prepared to see a lot of like me fiddling around and making small incremental changes to values in this video. I'll try to keep it moving along, but anyway, we could call the next one player hit, and this one could get a range of 0 to 360. Okay, that was. Did I just have the wrong like particle type selected when I was trying to burst it? Whatever. Anyway, we're gonna have that doing that. And we're also going to mess with some of the default settings. What was the speed? 1 to like 1.5 or so. And we will have you alpha blend out. And just for a little variety, I'll give you a little bit of color too. Again, I'm going to try not to lean on color too hard, but make everything a slightly different color. Alright, that's definitely on the very small side. I feel like the player hit particle should be bigger, but they shouldn't like last as long. And also, come to think of it, maybe I'll make these guys blood red and the faux particles like yellow or so. I am going to need to. All right, that's all right. Again, let's start you off at like half alpha when the player takes a hit. All right, so what else do I need? I need to close that. I need player takes damage, foe takes damage. Explosions are always a fun one to make. Player die, foes die. I feel like that'll just be like a bigger, louder version of these. I'll see what these look like in the game before I do anything like that. Entities on fire. I can probably get away with using like the demo particle type of fire on that, but enabling that would like erase what I've got so far, so I don't want to do that. Honestly, a boss stage effect, like I'm gonna have a burst for a little bit of feedback when the boss goes below like the first stage, the second stage, the third stage of health. This might just be like the default particle size and all that. If I have you fade out over time, if I have you last like 1 second plus, if I have you turn gravity down, emit in a ring, maybe a little faster, once again, a little bit of random variation. So GameMaker's built-in particle system is currently not delta-timed. I suspect it will be in the future based on some pre-release screenshots we've seen of the upcoming particle editor, but hopefully this game will be out the door by the time that comes along. And it's always, I feel like it's always kind of a pain trying to estimate speeds in like units per step instead of units per second, because I think it's a lot easier to understand like how far an object is going to move in 1 second versus how far an object is going to move in an arbitrary time frame. like an arbitrary like slice of a second. And that's like, that applies doubly when it comes to damping and friction and that kind of thing. Anyway, so when the boss takes a hit, they will emit something that looks like this. I will not like check off these cards on the hack and plan board yet, because I do want to see what they look like in the game. And the last one that I think I will do before copying this code into the game is particle effect explosions. So, you know, the exploding type enemies. And they can do something on the interesting side. Let's see. So we're gonna start off with just a waterfall of white spheres. We do have an explosion sprite. Like, I haven't messed with the different sprite shapes, but we do have an explosion sprite. Give you a random rotation so you don't look like you're coming off in a regular pattern. If I make you, let's say, give you 3 colors and have you fade out to like smoky gray. And fade out to white like this. And again, we can turn gravity off here. We will not be thinking about gravity. Speeds. Directions. Alright, you're moving rather fast for how long your lifespan is. Can I, like, actually increase your size? And if I were to maybe use additive blending here instead of regular, like, you know, normal blending. I find that when you use additive blending like this, having low alpha all around is on the helpful side. Of course, the default alpha cutoff is something like 0.1, I think, at least for the settings of the editor. So if you have it too low, you just won't see anything at all. Some very dark particle effects. All right, and if I have... See... I think this might actually look better without alpha blending. Without additive blending. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Alright, well, this is kind of like a smoky effect. It would be... I guess I could always write a special shader on my own that would give these particles, like, an outline. And maybe instead of, like, alpha blending them, I could just, like, make them a solid color with a shader. But we'll see how this looks. For now, if I were to copy code to the system clipboard and put this in GameMaker... See, I think I can close all these instances of the room editor now, and I can reclaim a little bit of screen real estate. Let me make another file. Let me call this group particles. Don't think I've got that yet. Have I been like making my fake singletons? I have not. I don't know if I want to adopt that design pattern for certain things this late. But anyway, we can create a particles database of sorts. So let's full screen that. Let's copy this in. If I were to, let's see, do we have automatic drawing? We do. If I were to just for example, draw this happening on the screen in like the draw a GUI event or something. Part system draw it. At that point on the screen, without using the 3D shader, so we shouldn't have to worry about draw failed due to invalid input layout or anything annoying like that. Alright, so that's gonna be... That's how an explosion looks in game. Alright, I think if we have that happen when, like, a bagworm goes off, we can, sort of satisfactorily, have an explosion effect. I'm gonna get rid of the source. I don't think we're gonna actually have anything happening with particle sources here. Let's see. I'm also gonna turn off automatic update, because if the game is paused, I won't want that to happen, and, I want to update the system myself. I'm just going to have particles burst when an event happens. So if I were to rename all these, part type 0 can be part type faux hit. And I guess instead of creating like a particle system class the way that I've got some other things, I could just make these all global variables. Would that be gross? Part type player hit, part type boss stage, part type explosion. I'm gonna have to update all these names in here as well. Alright, you know what? Particles. I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna make like one of my fake singletons, and the particle system and the different particle types are gonna belong to it. Hang on while I reformat this code. Alright, so the particle types can now be accessed by saying like particles.system, particles.type, faux hit, and so on and so forth. So now, in, for example, ent faux, we have a superclass for that, don't we? Ent faux template. Yeah. We can say on damage, part, what was it? I can just create particles, right? Part particles create. And this is going to allow me to just create particles directly on a system without needing an emitter, right? Yeah, okay. That's what I'm going to be using for most, if not all of this. Index XY, type, and the number. Simple enough. Index is going to be particles.system. X can be self.x, self.y, particles.type, faux hit, and the number can be, let's go with 60 sounds like a lot to create at once. Let's create a burst of like 30, shall we? And now, if I shoot at an enemy, right. Because I renamed that. Oh, I'm also going to need to manually update you, aren't I? Level.update and update the particle system as well. Okay, I've been doing this for a while, and I haven't actually gotten anything in the game yet. Draw failed due to invalid input layout. Is that current? That is not current. Have I messed up something else? Oh, you know what? I'm super dumb. I was calling part system draw instead of part system update. Okay. Wow. That's nice, I guess. So if I were to now run this, we have part system update, and then if I were to like pause the game in the middle of that, the particles aren't updating. If I were to do that like down here, the particles don't update, which is what I want. And I also do want the particles created and emitted to be drawn underneath all of the other things. Maybe, for example, after the background layer is drawn in the world like this. You are not being drawn at all there. Is the draw failed due to invalid input layout like current or... Alright, it is. So that's... I probably should not set the world shader until, like, after particles are drawn. Hang on. Should I have them drawn under the bullets too? That might be on the smart side. All right. Let's try this. Okay. Just... Why did I have the bullets being drawn, like, there? Alright, anyway. I'll draw the particles after the bullets, and if that looks funny, I'll change it later. But until then, yeah, you're definitely, I definitely need to make them bigger. And probably have them last a little longer. Like 1 to 1.5, which I think was my original scale. It can be like 0.3 to like 0.5 or something like that. Why are we setting both the like the scale and the size? That feels inefficient. Alright. Better. The coloration does lend itself to like fart jokes though, so I might just set that to white just so that I don't have to listen to people making fart jokes. What is the color? The color is this. The alpha is... I'll have you start off at 75% alpha. I will change your color to from like... Let's go color 3 from like C white to C gray to C white again. And... let's make you bigger still. I have a feeling the player particle, the player hit particles are going to need the same, like, treatment. Alright. We apparently are not doing alpha blending. At least not, like, within the particles. Because I see that you were, like, overwriting the alpha of the particles that were already drawn. Alright, you know what? Third option. What if I, instead of drawing the particles onto the world, what if I draw them directly onto the frame buffer? Because I suspect this is a surface alpha issue. And what if I ignore surface alpha? Okay, there we go, yeah. Alright, that's more what it should look like. It looks like you're having steam emitting from your bodies when that happens. But that's... Alright, it was a surface alpha issue, which I know I made the video on it, on surface alpha, but my tolerance for spending time dealing with it is really like... it gives me a headache quickly. I just don't like dealing with it. And if I can sidestep the issue entirely by drawing the particles directly onto the frame buffer, I'll do that. Like I said, having the particles being drawn behind the bullets as well is, I think, going to be something that is preferable regardless. And let's see if I can reset some of the original particle settings, because maybe they were fine if I can not deal with the particle alpha issue. Maybe they'll look better as they were. Okay. Honestly, this, as it is now, looks like a decent faux on fire particle. So I think I will... We can just call this type on fire. And you can leave it as it is. Sometimes I do like to have additive blending enabled for types that represent fire. That is what I do use for the default fire type particles here. Let's see. If you're on fire, Okay, that will be inherited from entity then. You, if you're on fire. Part particles create. Particles.system. Self x, self y. The type can be particles.type on fire, and the number we can make the number fairly low. We can make that 10. I feel like later on I will bring in a configuration setting for like particle density. Pretty sure I had that in Bombardier too. And let's see. Can I get a, oh, you know what I can do? I can hard code in I could hard code in the special fire level to like 2. So that the special will always set things on fire. And if I were to reset the colors for like color transitions on the regular hits to let's say C white, C LT gray, C white, make this color 3. And I guess I'll do alpha 3 too. Make those alpha fade a little bit more on a curve. Okay. It definitely looks like you're taking damage now. I might change the emission radius. I might make it like 0 to 180 or so. Okay, that's a lot of fire particles being spawned. If I can drop that down to like 2. Alright, that's not bad. I think I can get rid of the... Let's see, I think I'll have them fade out more though, so the fire particles will just have a lower alpha, like, all around. But other than that, I think it's good. I think the duration is good. I think the size of the flames is good. I think... Alright, yeah, that's fine. I like that. I can get rid of the red dot. The red dot looks dumb. That would be in, I think, the draw event. Draw end. Okay, so I can get rid of this. Let's see. Do I want to change anything else first, though? Oh, the emission, like the emission direction. So 45 to 135, and I had to eyeball the values in the editor because I didn't, when I made that UI, I didn't put in like a field to type in the min and max direction for whatever dumb reason. But when you get hit, I will make this like 10 to 170, and I think when you get hit, we can get away with making you emit like half as many particles. All right. Let's see. Everything else looks good. All right. That's just a little puff. Can make it even lower, I think, honestly. And fire. Let me run this again with the lower value. Because if we keep feeding bullets into you, you will, yeah, okay. I like that better than the continuous stream. If we keep feeding bullets into you, it'll be a more or less continuous stream anyway. That is starting to get to be too many things open on my screen right now. That is fire particles, that is faux hit particles. I can delete that draw end. I can delete the programmer R for SPR underscore status fire because I think we're about done with that programmer art. And I can start committing changes, all right? So I still have not got off my lazy button to fix the centipede issue. All right, and I realize now that if I were to run the game and go into a level with a bigger enemy object, it might be a little bit... let's see, the scorpions are a little on the bigger side. It might be a little hard to... Oh, no, not really. I was going to say it might be a little hard to see the particle emissions coming off you when you take a hit, but it seems that... maybe not so. With bosses are going to be bigger still, so it might still be harder to see you. And bearing that in mind, I should probably increase the size of these particles slightly. 0.5 to 1 or so. And maybe increase the lifespan just a tiny amount more, but what was that? Scorpion Rush? Kind of still looks like you're steaming. Alright, the life can be 1.25 to like 1.75. Alright, that is gonna emerge and be more visible from behind like a larger hitbox like this though. Okay. Boy. Everything else being hard, like, low poly tune designs and the particles being soft edges, I feel like that's still gonna clash a little bit. If anyone has strong opinions about whether or not these particles designs clash, complain at me, and eventually I will read some of the reviews that people leave on like the particle design, and if people would rather have like hard no alpha square particles, I will implement those instead. But for now I'm gonna leave it like this. Alright, so that is hit, that is on fire. Player hit, I want the player to in the same way that the entity burst something when on fire. When the player takes a hit, we've got an on damage too, don't we? We've got an on damage. We can say a type player hit. We'll give you 20 particles to burst, which is going to be a little more than the existing ones. One, this should happen if I run into like an object, right? No. Hang on. That wasn't happening. I don't think, anyway. What if I take it from a bullet? Alright, oh, there's also an on-entity contact, which should basically do the same thing. Alright. I'm gonna run into you. There's a couple other ways that I can do feedback for taking a hit, but this is one of them. I'll probably implement at least one more. Either, I don't know, a flickering effect. I never really liked flickering effects in games when something takes damage. Maybe, like, having the object, like, pulse in size momentarily, I think would be a little bit more to my liking, but we'll deal with these first. Next, what's the next particle type? That's player hit, boss stage. Alright, so I do want for boss template. When we hit another boss stage, like this, type boss stage, and the number can be, we can have more particles bursting when a boss takes falls below their HP stage. We can, interesting. Hang on, wait. A lot of stuff is happening here at once. Oh, okay. I know why I was doing that. That was, this should only happen if you actually change HP stages, and, like, there is a last stage not equals the stage check. Hang on. Instead of copying and pasting that 4 times, we can be a little smart about this. Only have to write this once with a private function of sorts. I love static methods and static functions. It really allows you to, or like assigning functions to variables in general really makes life easy. Anyway, let's see. So let me take these guys down. I'm amazed I did not take damage there. Alright, so the boss is like emitting steam. And there we go. When I bring you below HP stage, you did emit a burst. Alright, that is the intended outcome. Me taking this much damage this quickly is, however, not the intended outcome. Let's take care of all you guys first, because having this many hornets on screen shooting at me while I'm trying to take down the boss is a bit of a pain. All right, puff. Okay, so this is working. That's not bad. Next, let me implement the explosion. I think I will burst a similar amount on explosion to the boss on an HP stage. Which are the foes that can explode? The bagworms. Are there any others that have a funny die method? If I really want to go overboard and burst 100 particles at once. Let's see. Bagworm bombs does feature exploding enemies. Come on, you know you want to. All right, boom. I actually like that. All right. It's also the dark gray particles make it look like there's like a wave of like ash coming out of the explosion as well. Do those damage you if you get too close to the explosion? Or is it just the risk of... They don't. Should they? You know what I also kind of want to do, and this might be really stupid, just conceptually, is the bagworm bombs, when they blow up, the bullets that they shoot off could damage the things around them. And that could actually make for some really entertaining events. Ooh, ow. That could actually make for some really entertaining events if something were to blow up, like, in the middle of a crowd of enemies like that. Ooh, hyper, like, warp speed shooting. Hooray. Alright, enough of that. But just keep that in mind. Alright, I'm actually gonna toss that on the backlog. That should be a quick fix, because when bullets hit something, there is just a single check, like a single universal check to see if the team that they're on differs from the team that the target's on, and then like bagworms already override that because they can take friendly fire damage. Anyway. Alright, and I suppose I haven't been doing this, but I suppose I also should check off these cards on the hack and plan board, because it is satisfying to do that. So, when the player takes damage, when the foes take damage, when... no fire breath particles yet. Did say I'd get to that. Generic explosions. Honestly, fire breath is probably just going to be like... a bigger version of the foe being on fire particle effect. And there's just going to be like more of it, and it'll stream continuously as the projectile moves forward. Player dies, foe dies, boss stages. Alright. This video took a long time to get going, and I think I'm going to be cutting out a lot of time at the beginning. But I think it's starting to move now. So we can do fire breath next. Type on fire, type fire breath. It's going to be similar, but it's going to be bigger, and the particles are going to last longer. At least I think they last longer. They're definitely going to be bigger. Direction 45 to 135, that's fine. That should be in a vaguely cone shape. Speed, I think, can be bumped up quite a bit. 1.5 to, yeah, let's go with 2.5. And the scale can also be much bigger. So there is a bullet type for this, right? And we can totally just continuously burst some particles from this as well. Let's see. Type. We don't need to stream as many bullets. And by stream, I mean, like, create on the fly, because I'm not actually using emitters here. I want you to not draw the programmer art, like, collision box, so I'm going to just add an empty draw event. And we should have something that looks generally like fire breath now. Alright, I hope this looks as good as it did in my head. Alright, moment of truth. The fact that you're not, like, moving is weird, and you're still drawing that. Still drawing the sprite, which isn't really what I want. This should at least make the sprite invisible. Alright, let's start fine-tuning this. For one, you are bursting way too many particles continuously. I'm gonna cut that by 90%. Second, I think in my head, I imagine the particles moving faster. Yeah, definitely, the density of particles is good. But, in my head, I definitely envisioned you moving faster, so... Let's see... We can also have you slow down over time as you fade out, I think. You're not being drawn. That's fun. Like, the size and general volume of the fire, I think, is definitely good. Maybe if I shrink the lifetime a little bit, 1 to 1.25 seconds, that will, 1, have fewer particles on screen at once still, and 2, that should make it, like, having them fade out faster should allow you to see, yeah, more of the, like, the cone shape of the fire. Alright, I keep dying, because I keep flying into these things on purpose, and I'm no longer, apparently no longer seeing myself taking, like, the blood particles? Hang on. Oh, wait. I'm stupid. Wow. I was editing the player unentity contact particles thing, and not... Okay, wow, I'm stupid. Where's the bullet? The bullet type fire breath. Okay. Good job, Dragonite. So... Yeah. Alright, that was potentially a lot of wasted time. Alright, once again, the shape of the cone is good. We definitely don't need 20 particles being emitted per step. Definitely liking the fire effects. I wonder if the fire breath effect should specifically be drawn over the foes, though. Like, to draw that on top of the application surface layer. I wonder, like, what's the most number of these things that I can line up at once? Alright, anyway. Do bullets also have an empty draw event? Or is it just like... I guess for now, just so that I can see the bullets. Because executing the draw event doesn't implicitly call draw self, apparently, if there isn't a draw event implemented. Yeah, it will be helpful to see the bullets. And I will be replacing the bullets later on, I think, with something else, but something prettier. But for now, we'll keep having them like this. Alright, anyway. That's that. When the player dies and when foes die, I think I'm going to want bigger versions of the existing player hit and foe hit particles. So if I were to simply type foe die, if I were to scale you up, like way up, like have the particle, that's speed, have the particle scale be something like 1.5 to like 3. And if I were to do the same thing for player hit, and make player die, and scale you up from... Oh, you know what? The scale isn't a range, the scale is an X and a Y, so I'm definitely going to want this to be like 2 and 2. And the fact that if they're looking a little bit stretched to anyone, and I was definitely squinting at them, trying to figure out if they were looking stretched, that's probably because I messed with the size and thought I was making them a range instead of an X and a Y. Although, actually, having the fire particles, like the fire breath particles, moving forward, be a little bit stretched on the y-axis probably wouldn't be the worst. However, you guys, like the regular fire, the regular on fire, the regular foe die, the regular foe hit, definitely probably shouldn't be like that. Alright. I am not with it today. So that's a regular hit. Definitely ideal. I think I'll shrink the fire. I gave you a scale that was on the larger side, I think, of what I thought was the range. I'm just gonna feed like one bullet into you at a time. There's a puff. Oh, you know what? I haven't added the... That was the puff from the, like, the bullet damage. Foe template. There is an on die. Or it's just called die. It's not like on die as an event. And you can burst a decent number of particles all around you as you die. Alright. That might be a little big. But overall, I like it. Definitely, this is definitely going to be a video where I, in particular, are interested in hearing what people think. Like, that's never not the case. I like the puff, although I definitely feel like it's a little big. Let me scale it down a little bit. Generally not a fan of trying to find two numbers like 1.25, but after a while, like, it's hard to resist the urge to do that. Yeah, that's tamer. I think I'll be going with that. That's a little tamer. Alright. That's foe die. And I need player die as the last one. So player hit. And I believe I increased the... Oh, wait. I've already got that. No need to implement duplicate particle effects, but I'm increasing the size to 1.25 like that. Alright, so when we look at the player has a die method as well, I believe. And something like that. Okay. If I were to... Did I edit the wrong one again? Or was that just for making the player hit particles bigger? I did exactly that. Hang on. If I would pay attention to the code that I'm writing, this wouldn't happen. Alright, so first, let me see what it looks like when the player takes damage from like this. That's, yeah, that's about what I expected it to look like. And if I were to take damage from bullets, I'm just gonna stand here, doink, doink, and one more. I feel like that should be a little more on the explodey side, honestly. I feel like I want that to be more like a miniature explosion. Can I borrow the coloration from the explosion types? Color 3 and Alpha 3, and apply that to player die. I feel sort of partial to the explosion effect. Alright, that was not a level that I think that's going to be easy to... Oops. Not a level that I think it's going to be easy to take, like, bullet sponge damage in. Scorpion, just aim at you. That should make it easier. Alright, can I do that, like, not in the middle of the screen so that the particles aren't immediately obscured by the... There we go. All right. I think that was more or less what I was going for. It's got the the player hit particles, of course, as you take damage, but it's also got the explosion underneath it, which I think is more or less what I had in mind. So this is going to be the player die particles. All right, cheerful. And I can move these two off. I don't know if there are any other places where I'm going to want to add particles. Bosses, like when bosses die, they might get their own unique particles, separate from like when foes die, because right now they just, I think, inherit the foe die particles. I don't think there's anything else right now. Like, I'm not planning on having particles flashing on the UI or anything. And then we did already see that when the game is paused, particles stop moving, right? So if I were to... Yeah, particles stop moving when the game is paused. That will also include, like, player hit particles and I'm sure, like, fire breath particles and all that. Alright, that's fun. I like that. I like the fire breath especially. I like the cone shape. Like the cone shape with the, like, the bullet halo around it. Alright. So that's going to do it for today. Most of those I sort of like. Some of them I sort of like more than others. Again, if anyone thinks they don't really fit in the game's art style and have some other suggestions, feel free to let me know. If anyone's got some, like if you want to clone the repository yourself and play around with particle effects and see what you think looks good, also let me know. I'm going to push this to the origin. I'm going to make myself a release. And I'm going to start to try to remember how I sign these videos off. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. If you want the code for this, look for the GitHub repository down in the video description. Look for the release that I just made for where we are currently. I have a Patreon, so if you want to contribute to the channel, look for links to that in all the usual places. Otherwise, I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week. One let's make a game like this, and one tutorial usually featuring some of the weirder things you can do in Game Maker, such as 3D stuff. Otherwise, I hope you all found this interesting. We are now 60% of the way through the content phase of game dev over here, and overall about 68% of the way through the project as a whole. I guess I'll also make plans for next time. So, menu for player upgrades. I want to have that done next week. I was gonna do audio next week, but then I realized that like there will be additional audio involved in the menus over here, with player upgrades and collectibles and whatever, and it would make sense to do that before trying to do audio and get that in the game. So we'll be doing both finishing off Sprint 2, the like the UI stuff with the player upgrade menu, and we'll also be where were we? End of level rewards. I'm not sold that this isn't a stupid way to do collectibles. I'll probably next time I make a game, I will have some like back and forth conversation with the Patreon about whether or not they want to do something like that, and whether or not they think this is a stupid idea or not. But for now, I'll make collectibles something or another, and probably those will double as tokens for buying upgrades. So like if you make it through a level without taking damage or something like that, you'll get a collectible trophy of some sort, and you can use that as like points that you can redeem for an upgrade. Is there anything else upgrade related down here? There's not. That should be a fair amount of work for next time. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Army Armbuster, DJ Gibbles, Edward Holt, Game Maker, KeyXE, Sindra Larson, Squarecrow, The Oz, and Zenith for supporting these videos. If you want to support the channel, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.